Hello, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the Reconnected Woman podcast.
Today we're going to have Chantel share her amazing story.
Yeah, because when we were discussing topics about this podcast and what we wanted to create out of this, we're like, okay, we need to actually tell our stories first so that one, it gives like a really good foundation of where we've been, where we're going, what our experiences are, and yeah, because we've had two very different experiences and we're just coming together, and where we're at in our lives right now really is based off what has happened in the past, like everyone. So today we're kicking off with my story,
Yes, your journey.
my journey. So
I'm excited because I believe I'll learn new things about you.
okay, all right, well, shall we start at the very beginning?
Yes, let's do it.
So I have been dealing with a chronic illness for over a decade now. So it was in my early 20s when all of this stuff started. I was, doing what you're meant to do.
What is it with early 20s too? Sorry, but I just want to say that I swear it's like this moment in time for people where it's like the trial and error phase and the shit hits you. Adulthood. Welcome to adulthood.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I guess it's either happens in your early 20s or it happens when you're like in your 50s.
Yeah.
And I kind of look back now and I'm grateful that this has happened, that all of this happened so early in my life, so that I didn't have to get through until I'm 50 to then be like, oh my God, what am I doing? So that's definitely something that I'm grateful for, even though it has been an absolute shitstorm and of a journey. But yeah, it all started in my early 20s. I was studying public relations, and what else was I studying? Public relations and music industry was what I was studying at the time. And I landed this internship job at a publicist company, and I was like, amazing. This is like where I want to go. Like I want to, climb the corporate ladder and be this big fancy publicist and, wear all of the pencil skirts and,
Yes.
look all fancy and, all of those things before Pinterest was a thing. Like that's what my Pinterest board would have been all about, right? And so I got this internship, and after I graduated, I actually got offered a job with them, and it honestly at the time was my dream job. And 6 months in to working there full time, that's when things started to shift. And I remember so clearly sitting across the table from one of my colleagues and saying to her, I just can't think clearly. Like, I just can't process information properly. It's just like I'm forgetting things. And that was the turning point for my health. I was just starting to get really foggy, and being in your early 20s, that's you're supposed to be sharp and in your prime. And what I actually started to notice is that was the very first signs of my health starting to decline, and I just kind of pushed it aside. Being the 20-year-old that I was living out of home for the first time. I was in a share house. I was having a great time with my housemates, and things started to slowly decline. I started to get anxiety, and I'd always, like as a child, been a bit of a worrywart and been a bit of a shy person, but then also would have this confidence here and there. But things just started to rapidly decline, and I was noticing that my work was starting to be impacted as well. And I started to develop really severe anxiety where I was having panic attacks in my office, which was the most horrific thing to experience. And I remember going through this time where I literally was like, there is something wrong with me. What is wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? Why am I dealing with this? What is going on? I remember being in my housemate's bed just in tears, just being like, I don't understand what's going on. Why am I feeling like this? Just
that's awful.
Feeling absolutely defeated. And I was really lucky to have a mentor at my job who noticed the decline and noticed what was going on. And she suggested that I go see a psychologist. So that's what I did. And it was really daunting to make that phone call to book in to see a psychologist for the first time, right? Because you're like, oh, I don't need a psychologist. Like, why am I doing this? And I was like, no, I actually really do need some help. And it's quite funny now how much pressure we put on ourselves and how much we blame ourselves for things, because for so long during those psychology sessions, she was giving me a lot of tools that I still use now, right? Like things that I used to do was try and read people's minds and think, oh, that this action means something XYZ about me. And then that would cause a panic attack or whatever it is. And so she gave me some really amazing tips to help me move through that. But things that she used to say to me was like, oh, are you sure that it's like your work environment? I was like, no, this is me. This is me. There's something wrong with me. I need to like work this out. And the turning point was when I actually was in a review with this company, and I had another panic attack, and I'd recently just had surgery for my deviated septum. And
that's sinus, right? Isn't it? Deviated septum.
Yeah. So all your sinuses are kind of blocked up, and my septum wasn't like allowing me to breathe properly. It'd been an issue for ages, so I finally got it sorted. And I've been in off for a week, and it was like I had a panic attack during that meeting with my my boss, and got a blood nose, and the blood nose just kept on coming and coming and coming. So I ended up in hospital from this like panic attack. And it was at that moment that I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like, what is actually happening? Why is this happening? And I realized in that moment that this is not the path that I want to go down. Because one, it was a light bulb for me to be like, oh, I'm actually in a really toxic workplace that was throwing me under the bus for a whole heap of things and throwing all this like shit on me, making me think it was my fault. I was in my early 20s. I'd just graduated and they're expecting all these things from me. And I put all this pressure on myself. And in that moment, that's when I realized, okay, something has to change, because I don't know, it's like we have these moments, right, that you get the feather, you get the poke, and you get hit by the truck.
Yes.
It's like
sometimes it involves you, getting hit by the truck, which most of us ignore until that point, which is, you go, damn it, if I'd have listened earlier.
Absolutely. And this was because they'd given me a written warning for my performance, and it was me being hit by the truck, by having that, ending up in hospital, questioning everything about my life and being like, oh my God, I've just gone to uni for 4 years and this isn't what I need. This is not the life that I want to live. I don't want to be climbing the corporate ladder if this is what it's going to be like, if this is what the environment's going to be like, and this is what it's going to do to my health. And so I actually at that point came back the next week and handed in my resignation and was just like, I can't do this anymore. And decided to move to Canada for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's something that I'd always wanted to do. to live overseas, but I was literally like, I've always wanted to do it. I'm so close to my family. I don't know if I ever could. And this was the truck that really made me make that decision and just go off and do it. And that was the first time that I really went off the beaten path of what society says you should be doing. And that was also my thing, like, okay, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to have an amazing time. I'm going to like party and I'm going to be all good, because this anxiety, this brain fog, this fatigue, this light sensitivity, all of these things are going to, just go away, because the issue was the environment that I'm in. So,
yeah.
And also, one thing I did really actually forget to mention was, which is a really pivotal part of my journey looking back, is that I did one time go to the doctor about how I was feeling before I went to a psychologist. And it was a doctor that I hadn't seen before, because my regular doctor was away, and I was going to see him about something completely different. I think it was actually for UTIs, because chronic UTIs was something I was also really struggling with. And I remember feeling so nervous and mustering up the courage to actually finally tell somebody what I was feeling and the anxiety that I was feeling. And the first thing he said to me was, I think you might need to go on antidepressants. And
that kills me.
And in that moment as well was when I realized that I was like, what do you mean? Like, you don't even know who I am. You haven't asked me any questions. Like, the first thing that you say to me is that I need to go on medication. You don't know anything about me. You don't know the situation I'm in or anything like that, right? And I have grown up with more of like a natural kind of environment, because my brother had a behavioral issue that everyone thought he was ADHD, and my mother was like, he's not ADHD, I know my child. Stripped back his diet, and he was actually allergic to a whole heap of preservatives in the food that was affecting his behavior. So I grew up reading labels of food, looking at the ingredients of everything. And so I already had this kind of knowledge in the background that medication is not always the right option, especially when it comes to quick fixes. And I was like, I don't want a quick fix. I want to go back to feeling the way that I used to feel. I want to be me again. And that is what also has led me down a path of natural medicine, because after that I went and saw a naturopath and started not drinking as much and being in the early 20s, and I was a big party house, and also just watching the food that I was eating and going on a gluten-free diet and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, all of that happened. And so I moved overseas and had a great time. And during that time, I actually did start to dabble in personal development and in spirituality. I went and did some energy healing as well, because I was like, well, I've spoken to a naturopath about my health, and my health isn't getting better. I've still got the brain fog. I've still got that anxiety. I've still got like fatigue and light sensitivity, and all of those things. Maybe it wasn't just my job. Like, maybe there's something else going on. And I just dabbled in and out of health stuff and personal development while I was over there. But it wasn't until I actually moved back to Brisbane that I really started to dig into what's going on with my health. And I started seeing an integrative doctor. And that was when I had the first signs of answers. So this doctor actually did some blood tests for me and noticed that I was low in iodine and that I had some thyroid issues. And I remember getting the results back, and I remember calling my sister just being in absolute tears and she thought there was something wrong. I was like, no, these are happy tears, because I actually have answers. For the first time in my life, I have answers, because I had done tests with other doctors and other naturopaths, and they'd be like, well, everything looks fine. So I don't know. I'm like, well, I'm not fine. I know myself. This is not me. There's something going on. And so from that moment, I went to a naturopath and did other things. And then I went and saw another naturopath, and you know what it's like when it comes to like your health journey and going from one person to the next, because everyone's got their own specialties. Everyone has their own knowledge in a specific area. And I was literally just Googling okay, naturopath for this, naturopath for that. I didn't have a diagnosis. I didn't have anything. So I was just looking into people that felt like they could help me. And then I connected with this naturopath who actually, for the first session that we had, she asked me questions that I've never been asked before. Questions about, what's your environment like? Like, what's your home like? What tests did you get in your childhood? What vaccinations did you get? What
Getting
illnesses did you have?
Health.
Like a whole picture of health.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, nobody's asked me these questions before. This is amazing. And I told her all of my symptoms, and she was like, so it sounds like you have chronic inflammatory response syndrome from mold. And I was like, interesting. And the only reason why she knows this is because she has had it herself.
I was going to say, you know, one thing that I found myself through meeting all different practitioners in the health space, I think that people are practicing from their own experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes quite a bit of time to go through the people till you find someone that goes, I know exactly how to help you. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially what I came to realize with doctors is that they are literally just general practitioners, right? They don't know everything. And of course, they're not going to be able to know everything. However, you've really got to look hard to find a doctor who is going to be able to support you in a particular area, or support you in the way that you want to be supported, especially if you want to go down the route of not having medication and wanting to actually get to the root cause. And I worked with this naturopath for over a year, and I definitely learned so much from her. I learned about grounding, and I learned about artificial light and how that impacts our hormones, and why I have my light sensitivity and the rashes on my body and my liver, and EMF radiation and toxins and all of that kind of stuff. So working with her opened my eyes up to a natural, or, you know, just a way of actually supporting our body in a world where our bodies aren't supported. And I started to get really, really intrigued in natural medicine, in integrative medicine, in supporting my body to actually heal itself. And down a whole heap of tests, spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on tests from all the doctors, and also my naturopath as well, to see what's going on. And because it's so time consuming and so exhausting when it comes to finding answers, this whole process has been a tap in, tap out, right? Like okay, I'm working with this person, I'm getting answers, this is working, until it's no longer working, and then I'm hitting a brick wall. And then I would kind of have a break for a while to be like, okay, I'm going to focus on something else, because otherwise it can be so defeating to be working so much and investing so much time and money into something and feeling like you're not getting anywhere or feeling like it's just not hitting the mark.
But also, how determined are you, like, to just keep going? Like, you look at your determination and strength of going, I'm not going to give up on this. Like, I want to feel good. I want to feel whole. And, I admire that.
Yeah, I just have this feeling deep down that there is a reason why this is happening. So I'm going to get to the bottom of what this reason is, and I'm going to heal it, even if it takes me 10, 20 years, right? And this naturopath helped me a lot to heal a lot of things that were going on, or to give me tools in order to support my body so that I could actually function better. And during this time is when I really also went down the personal development rabbit hole, because this whole journey has led me on this self-discovery as well, right? Like dealing with so many different practitioners and just having those little niggles of being like, that doesn't feel right. Oh, I don't know about this. And what I have actually come to realize, the most incredible thing that has happened from this whole process, is that I have learned to advocate for myself, to trust myself deeply, and to have the confidence to back myself 1,000%. And that is such a gift to get from this experience, because of all the shit that's been thrown at me, and because of all of the people that I've spoken to, and people's own opinions coming at you, and even, when it comes to a chronic illness or an invisible illness, it is so hard to deal with, because on the outside you look fine, and your friends and your family are like, what's wrong with you? You look fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And so you're dealing with that kind of stuff as well, right? And so I really had to start working on my self-belief and my confidence to support me through this journey, so that I could actually continue to push on and to heal and find the answers and find the right people. So that's where I discovered human design. And
sorry, I have a question. Do you feel like sometimes the external symptoms that we have in our bodies that show up are really directing us inward to ourselves?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is something that I've absolutely had a realization over the past, I'd say 6 months. I'm starting to put even pieces together now as to like why all of this stuff happened when it happened. And and all of this has kind of come to light. It's no coincidence really that I fell into like learning NLP and learning about trauma and childhood trauma and somatics and the mind-body connection and all of that kind of stuff, and getting my coaching certification and all of that kind of thing. And I was always so invested in the mind-body connection and how powerful the body is. And I had this realization actually a couple of months ago where I was like, oh my gosh, my body was screaming at me that the environment that I was in, the friends that I had, the decisions that I was making, the path that I was going down was not right for me. My soul was communicating to my body that something is not right. And it took a truck for me to actually realize that I had to change path, because I was so disconnected to my intuition. I was so disconnected to what I actually truly deeply wanted. I was so focused on what you are supposed to do and what society tells you should do and what a successful life is and looks like and what it feels like and all of that kind of thing, right? That I just got so swept up in that, and I was so in autopilot of this is how life is supposed to be, that my body just went, oh, hell no. this ain't happening anymore. And it's so funny now putting the pieces of the puzzle together to see like, okay, well, I had this illness and then I've followed the breadcrumbs to dealing with all these different practitioners, learning about all these different things, learning about the mind and the body, learning about generational trauma, all of that kind of stuff. And now, like, seeing where my whole path is gone, where I was focusing on supporting women to feel empowered and to grow their own confidence and their trust and their intuition. That was a big part of what my whole coaching business was about. And what I realized is that there was a part of me that I was really fired up and really passionate about it, because it was something that I was going through myself, something that I had come out the other end, right? Being a huge people pleaser and suffering from anxiety and all of those kinds of things. And but deep down there was something that was missing for me. I was like, this I felt like I was thinking that this was the thing, but deep down it wasn't the thing. There was something missing. And we actually, hubby and I moved to Melbourne, what was it, September last year, for his work. And I was always saying, I feel like there's a reason why we're doing this. Like, everything is just falling into place so easily. And when I was there, I put a pause on my coaching business and I started doing reception work for a physio, and we were getting lots of referrals from doctors. So I was like reading people's referrals, seeing what their symptoms were, I loved it. Seeing what their symptoms were, and so that I could see, okay, who would be the right physio to direct this person to. And I remember having these thoughts where I'm like, okay, so this person has all this trauma, whether it's like abuse or whatever it is, and then these are the symptoms that they're having in their body. I literally had the thought where I was like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but I can see the connection between this person's trauma and how it's showing up in their body and how it's connected.
Yeah.
And it just put a light bulb moment, gave me a light bulb moment. I was like, oh,
everything's connected.
Oh, crap. Like, one, this is literally what happened to me. I had all of these symptoms that were coming up and all of this trauma that I was dealing with. And then looking at, okay, these are all of the skills that I've got to detect the trauma and all of that kind of stuff. Then also having my experience of, dealing with the chronic illnesses and everything. And I've always been so passionate about getting to the root cause. And during this time also discovering homeopathy, I was like, oh my gosh, like everything is just kind of coming together. So
do you know what? I just had this realization when you were talking about the start of your story being public relations. And right now you are telling your story, your journey to the public for them to relate to. Had you ever thought about that?
I haven't.
I just was like, oh my goodness, this is a full circle moment. Like, really, maybe you always were meant to relate to the public in public relations somehow, some way, and you weren't to know that until you took a journey into yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you feel grateful and for your journey and everything you've learned?
I'm so, so grateful. Yeah. I there used to be a time where I used to say to people, I would never wish this on my worst enemy, what I went through. But now I know that I had to go through it. I had to go through it. I had to experience it in order to come out the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise I would still be in a corporate job working ridiculous hours, stressed, comparing myself to other people's lives, putting pressure on timestamps of I have to achieve this certain thing by a certain time in my life. And now I'm just so deeply connected to myself and what I truly deeply want, and I just don't give a damn about what society says I should be doing.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. And sorry, you might have more to say in regards to your journey, but the hardship led you to a beautiful moment of being in the position you are now, bringing a baby into this world.
Absolutely. Like, I even think back to 2 years ago when I thought I wanted to start a family with hubby, and there is no way that I would be in the headspace that I am in now, have the knowledge that I have now, have the confidence that I have now, because we want to have a specific type of birth in hospital that is, low intervention, natural, spontaneous, and knowing what I know about the medical industry and the things that can happen just because that is standard practice, and knowing that I can say no. I would not have had the confidence to say no in the past. I would not have had the confidence to question things in the past. I was such a follower of authority. So absolutely, this has all happened for a reason, and I've come out the other side, and yeah, just everything's just perfect. Even the horribleness of it all, and the heartbreak and the loneliness and the fear and everything else that I went through was worth it and beautiful and perfect.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
And do you feel like do you feel as though conceiving your child, there was healing just before that took place? Was there like one last hurrah of purging or identifying something with your health that needed to be, balanced as a woman before that took place? I guess is my question.
Yeah, I feel the work that I did with my homeopath was so incredibly healing, and it was the final piece that I needed because for so many reasons. And I think it's also the knowledge that I have of homeopathy now just is going to support me so much in my birth and in my experience. And I didn't even know, I'd heard of homeopathy, right? But I didn't really know what it was. I was like, oh, it's just kind of like a naturopath, right? Like, no, it's not. And it was a friend that introduced me to homeopathy, and I was like, look, I'm literally at this point. I'd tapped back into my health, and I was like, I am done with this brain fog. I'm so over it. Like, show me the way. Like, someone show me the way. And that's that day a friend introduced me to homeopathy, and I was like, right, I'm on. And again, like, that that session that I had with the homeopath asked me questions that no one's ever asked me before. She asked me my whole life story, not just the medical stuff. She asked me what my parents went through, what my parents are like, what my life was like as a child, what my grandparents were like, what their illnesses were, what my siblings were like, what my relationship was like with my first boyfriend. And I literally told her my whole life story. And she gave me a few remedies, which is just like, it looks like water in a bottle. And I took these, and she said, right, you might feel some emotions that come up. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can deal with this. I've done somatic work. I can cry. Like, I'm deeply connected to my emotions. I'm like so prepared for this. And it was 2 days after taking the remedies that I started getting really offended by things that my husband was saying.
Oh,
like
really?
personally attacked. Yeah. Like feeling personally attacked by things, like just feeling like I was unheard, or he wasn't listening to what I was saying, or just very dismissive. And so then I would like take that out on him, and it'd take me ages to get over it and be like, why is this just pissing me off so much?
It's
lingering. And it was the second time. Yeah, why is this lingering? Like, what is going on? And because we communicate about everything, we have such an open relation, like a very communicative relationship. And the second time it happened a couple of days later, that's when things clicked, and I was like, oh,
it's the remedy.
This is an old pattern that I had with my first boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just feeling so unheard and so unseen. And my first boyfriend was the one that I lost my virginity to, so and was my first love. And so there's a lot of emotions and connections and attachment to that relationship. And so once I had that realization, those patterns never came up again. Those like behaviors never came up again. Those thoughts never came up again. But then a couple of days after that, I just started bawling my eyes out. Just like I was sitting on the couch one night, we just had dinner, and I think my husband was talking to his mum, and I'm just sitting on the couch, and I just start like bawling my eyes out for no reason.
Oh, wow.
And it was a crying like grief. Like I was grieving. And I honestly believe it was a release of all the hurt and pain and wrongfulness that has happened to me that I needed to release, to heal, in order to conceive this beautiful baby.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
And at the same time, it was the very thing that healed my chronic UTIs.
Oh, wow. That you'd suffered for how long with?
I had chronic UTIs for over 10 years.
Wow.
It actually started with my first boyfriend. And I would be constantly on antibiotics. I was honestly terrified, like not terrified, but I was really like anxious about having sex, because I was like, oh God, am I going to get a UTI this time? And I would be popping the cranberry tablets. I'd be like trying to do as much as I can to try and prevent it. And I would feel really anxious if I didn't have any like spare antibiotics and I was going away. Like I would take, if I had antibiotics left over, I was going away, I would be taking that with me, because I was like, there is no way that I'm going to be like stuck in the middle of somewhere without any kind of relief.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really big struggle for me, that alone. So which is all linked to boundaries. So
Oh wow.
yeah, that's the healing that I believe really had to happen in order for us to conceive.
And that's such a sacred area where the UTIs are showing up in your body. That's like your womanhood, I would say. And that's all linked to conception. And I guess something Chantel and I are so passionate about is health, because it's been part of our journey, but also how it's about reconnecting with our womanhood in every aspect, and in this day and age, isn't it? And that's something, you've conceiving a child is linked to having a balanced body, mind, spirit, to be able to have space and capacity to bring in a child from another place, world, up there from the stars, wherever they come from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no one's actually asked me that question before of if there was any extra healing. And I only had that realization before, that connection, right, of just, I honestly do believe that has so much to do with us being able to fall pregnant when we did.
Yeah. What a beautiful story. Like, I'm so excited for you on this new chapter, but I'm so happy to have heard your story. Thank you for sharing that and being so raw with it. There's so much that people can learn from this, and yeah. So where are you now with your... Tell us about the place you're at now, our listeners.
The place that I'm at now, I'm very much in nesting mode.
Ooh.
But I'm in deep surrender right now, and in deep trust, knowing that whatever's meant to happen next will come to me. I used to be chasing all the time and being like, I've got to make it happen. Like, I've got to have this thing that I'm working towards. And I know that the path that I'm going on is, one, to be a homeopath, because homeopathy has literally changed my life. And I'm sure we'll dive deeper into homeopathy in another episode.
Yeah.
And helping those who have gone through what I've gone through, getting to the root cause, having the confidence to advocate for themselves and to trust themselves deeply while also healing their bodies. What that looks like, I don't know. And I am absolutely okay with that. And I'm really excited for this journey as well that I'm going on, and being able to share this journey and document it on this podcast as well, especially going into motherhood and all of the things that come from that. And then, when I start studying homeopathy and then, so that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, amazing. And look, I think it's so great to share stories, share our stories, because it can help so many women on their path, whether it be just purely to heal their physical issues or to learn more about their how they can help their, I'm having mind blank, mental side of things, their emotional aspect, their if they're on the path to conceiving, like just opening their minds up to all the experiences you've had. It might just help them connect the dots and go, hey, I haven't tried that, I haven't heard this, maybe I should go down that path. And I mean, that's the whole purpose of why we're doing this. is just to share the story, to help others, to help other women, right? To bring community together.
Well, also that they're not alone, right?
Yes.
Because when we're going through this kind of stuff, we think that it's only us that's going through it. And you feel so alone. And if I had a podcast like this to listen to when I was going through the deepest, darkest moments that my anxiety in my early 20s led me to, which I took it out in other ways, right? I drank, I slept around, I did all these different things to make me feel whole and to make me feel loved and make me feel like I wasn't alone. So just hearing other people's stories just is so healing, and it starts to be like, oh, I'm not the only one. There's actually nothing wrong with me. I'm not broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful message, isn't it? I'm not broken, because so many women feel that way, especially I feel in this day and age where women are suffering with anxiety left, right and center. Chronic health issues are on the rise. Fertility is just, I reckon almost every second woman I speak to is dealing with, and it doesn't matter how old they are, like teenage girls, early 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, menopausal women. There's an imbalance somewhere that's causing them to not feel good. And, I think that just helping educate people, providing them with knowledge, experiences can really help to heal. That's what we want to do. We want to heal ourselves, and we want to help other people heal and live a fulfilling, joyful, healthy, happy life.
Beautiful life.
Yeah.
Now that I've told my story, the next episode, Rachel is going to share her journey. And I can't wait to listen to this one, because we've only known each other for a year. And so there's going to be so much that I don't know. And I can't wait to learn all about you and your journey.
But thank you everyone for listening. And you can find us on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Bye.
Bye.